Hi, my name is Willie. Going to be going over some wiring today. Got my positive, negative, and tack signal output going for my fuel system. This will be my 12 volts for my charging system, and this is going to be my engine kill, or ground. This is my 12 volts for the accessories. So I'm tapping off. I'm going to be running battery power to this from the tractor, and I'll power everything here. Okay, so in this switch I got positive on this side and negative on this side. Can't see too well. Positive and negative. That splits off to over here for the propane switch over for the Venturi. And positive negative comes out to here to go to the fuel system. So I got to put battery power through here. And I have it grounded here to the engine. So I'll ground everything. And in order to get a tack signal in here, I had to go before these diodes here. Let me get some light in here. Let me grab a pointer too, because my fingers are too big. Right. Oh my goodness. Can I get it? Right here is a diode. Little cylinder looking thing. I gotta get it to focus. There's a diode right here, and it allows electricity only to flow one direction. Now they put one diode on either side of the ignition, so the power for the secondary coils between this magneto and this thing doesn't want to focus today, and that magneto. If you don't have a diode on either side, they'll backfeed and they won't spark correctly, and if they both go bad, you won't have any spark, period. So sometimes, if you have erratic spark, comes down to these diodes go bad, and they're both wired right here. There's a junction. This goes to the other side, and this is for this side. Let's see if I can get some power in there, or light. I'm sorry. Back here is where the kill wire hooks up, and I split in the two. So the wire on the right, this green wire, will go out to my window switch for the tack signal input, and the one on the left over here is what I put in for the original kill wire. So I'm tapped right at the coil to get a RPM reading, because unfortunately I cannot get an RPM reading on this side of either of the diodes. And this will be where tack signal will come out. So let me get this cleaned up and back together, and I'll continue on with the rest of the mess. Okay? Take me probably 10-15 minutes, but you maybe 15 milliseconds. So hang on. And I'm back. Okay, we take our ground from the engine and our positive, and we're hooking up to this relay, which is going to operate the fuel shutoff relay back here. Solenoid? Yeah, fuel shutoff solenoid. Valve, whatever you want to call it. Just for giggles, I wonder what they call it. It'll focus. Oh, it's all upside down. Let me see what I can figure it. See what it says. Hang on. Yeah, they're just calling it a valve. So the fuel shutoff valves needs 12 volts and ground. Here's my common ground right here. So I got my engine and my fuel shutoff valve. And how we're going to hook this up is we're going to have a junction for all the 12 volts here temporarily. 12 volts is going to come into the bottom, and in the regular neutral position it's going to send power from the bottom here, the 12 volts, to the center wire. And that'll, so long as the power is getting engine, that fuel shutoff valve will be open. When we want it to close and we're limiting our max RPM via the window switch, all we gotta do is supply this a ground and it'll shut the fuel off. So we're getting there one step at a time. Don't need any wire on this top prong whatsoever. So let me get the rest of the mayhem up here and I will continue on. Okay? This shouldn't take 15 minutes. Hang on. If you guys have been watching my videos, you know this thing. So here's my positive and negative. That's going to go right here. So I got my negative on the back. Positive on the side. Make sure you don't go mixing those up, because that can wreak havoc. I'll just plug it in off camera. And this is my engine control because that's green for ground and red for my charging system. Sorry, green for ground and red for the charging system. So I always tend to put ground on the one nearest to the clip and the positive on the one that's at an angle. I'll show you guys this stuff. And I'll pull this out. Put that back on there. Got another one here. Hang on. Not so easy to do this with one hand. So I got those, and they're going to go over here. Once again, it's hard for me to do this looking at the camera and so on, so let me get those stuck on quick. So that's where those are going to go. Got my battery wire here. Also have wing nuts and battery bolts here to make for easy install over here. And the starter bolt down there is going to be core 20, and this is also core 20 here, so I'm going to steal one of these to bolt the positive wire to the starter wire to the battery. So let me hook that up quick. Hang on. One thing I am going to need to do is I got to put a recess in here for these wires to sit in because they're wanting to get squished a little bit. So I'm going to turn this on and you'll hear the relay, or the valve open and close. So this valve back here is open. All we got to do is add ground to shut the fuel off. I know, this is getting interesting, isn't it? The wonderful thing relays are. It's incredible. Okay, now for the next toy to come up on the table. I know it's getting a little crowded up here. It's not hardwired yet, it's just sitting here. I gotta put clamps on the motor too, and I gotta bolt up my engine ground as well. Getting there. I know this is gonna be a longer video, but it's getting interesting. I want to show you how everything's going to work, and I'll go over the fuel system setup and a test run Sunday. I was going to work on my truck today, but I don't really want to be working out in all the slush and snow and messy, ugh. Even then, I got plenty of stuff to do in here. A little mini update in the middle of the video. I got all those swing arm and suspension parts to go over yet. I got the ball joints and bearings and swing arms, all that fun stuff to do, and I gotta clean the rust up on those yet. Okay, now, this is one I use to control that fuel relay. Now we have a normally closed and a normally open ground control from this switch. Normally open meaning there's no connection to ground, which would be this gray one, and normally closed one, or no, what do you think about that? Yeah, this would be the normally closed ground. Okay, we want to normally open, so when this thing trips, it supplies ground to shut the fuel off. So this will go to the fuel control relay over there, and my RPM tack signal is going to be this white wire, and obviously red is 12 volts and positive, and black is ground. I'm going to use that common ground in the back there. So let me get that all hooked up. Hang on. So these coiled wires are my engine wires I had earlier. I just coiled them up so they'd be out of the way. Then these wires would stand out a little bit more from the window switch here. Okay, so we got our positive hooked up to the junction for the positive, negative hooked up to the common negative, which I forgot to put the nut on. Back here. Sorry. Having a hard time watching what I'm doing and watching the camera. Trying to do the best I can. As I was saying, I got this negative hooked up to the common negative back here. And I got my yellow hooked up to the solenoid here. Control the fuel shutoff valve. All going to the switch. And if all went well, this will light up. Look at that. Now, we have a 2-cylinder engine, and because that magnet's going around and it's got a waste spark system on it, The spark for one cylinder is going to spark twice for every combustion cycle. So we could wire this up for a 2-cylinder and it would be accurate, but because there's a in fact, I gotta remember what they call it. Let me look up the manual. There's a name for it, but there's a certain room for error between kicking on and kicking off. Let me look that up. I gotta pull out the manual. Okay, it looks like right here there's a 200 RPM safety range built into the activation device points. This means that the RPM must drop 200 RPMs below the activation point to turn the circuit off. Conversely, the RPM must drop 200 RPMs below the deactivation point in order to turn the circuit back on. This is to prevent the circuit from chattering on and off. Sorry, I was pointing in the wrong direction. Okay. Nice thing about having that waste spark is we can wire this in for a single cylinder, in which case the RPM will double. The reading for the RPM will double. And we'll have a space of 100 RPMs between the circuit turning on and off. Next thing is this is from ECU or a 5 to 400 volt signal from MSD TAC adapter. So I'm not sure what I imagine the TAC adapters. Let me read through that a little bit more. Hang on. It doesn't say much, it just says MSD TAC adapter, but I imagine it's good for 5 to 400 volts. On the back of it, it said 5 to 12, so by all means it's not really meant to be hooked up to a magneto, because I believe the secondaries could be running higher voltage than, say, 12 volts. But no serious amperage, so I doubt it would melt. There's one other point I wanted to make. That should be it. That's everything. Oh, and by the way, these two wires are positive and negative to charge my battery. So. Nope, not enough. So getting there one step at a time. Okay, moving on. Okay, I got it all set up. That'll be the on point, which is 0 RPMs. The off point, which will be 2,500 RPMs. The number of cylinders, which is 1 cylinder. And it's going to measure 0 RPMs. So this will tell me the live RPMs of the engine running. I'm not going to run it right now because I'd have nothing for Sunday. I had to make up for last week because I didn't get a chance to put a video up last week. So if you like the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you stay tuned to see other videos, because I'm sure I'll have one out, and have a good day.